Respected members of the audience and speakers, we have come to discuss CPEC, and as it was mentioned before, CPEC would actually more aptly be termed the China-Punjab economic corridor. That is far more precise in what it aims to achieve and who the primary recipients or beneficiaries will be. I think that we need to understand that OBOR, the One Belt, One Road initiative that has been launched by China, is the largest of its kind in human history as a business enterprise of this scale. And the impacts, the ramifications that it will have, because it's going to affect at least 4 billion people on this planet in some form or other, be it infrastructure, energy, and transportation links. Now, it is a vast energy, transport and infrastructure project, and what it's doing is essentially it is linking China's main energy centres, its resource havens, and its trading markets in a very intricate web in respectively the Middle East, Africa and Europe. So let us be under no illusions that it is for the benefit of China primarily, in order for it to be able to maintain a level of growth that will enable and ensure the political stability internally within China. Because this is something that the government must do. There are approximately 6 million graduates yearly, and the Chinese government has a responsibility to provide all of these people with jobs, with food, with clothing, etc. And so it has begun to export in order to be able to achieve that, having its own internal market saturated to a very high level. It is a modern colonialist endeavour, and it is going to bolster Chinese economic ascendancy worldwide. Now, it is logical to presume that with that there will also come political ascendancy and power. The closest project to this would have been, as was mentioned by a speaker earlier, the Marshall Aid. However, this does not carry the same level of political transparency and accountability that is normally required by major institutions such as the IMF and the World Bank and other monetary funds. And this is why it is attractive to so many countries. Now, the building of infrastructure in countries where people have barely enough to eat, hardly anywhere to live, with a lack of very basic educational facilities, is something that we have to really ask ourselves, what is going on here? Because there are going to be repercussions later. Now, one of the issues that arises is that we know the current situation, especially with regards to the liberal hegemonic order that has been prevalent for the past several hundreds of years in world global politics. It's going to have a very big impact on this. And what we mean by that is that the culture of liberal democracy, of free speech, of human rights, all of this is in danger. Now, when we come to discussing CPEC, which is the largest single enterprise under the OBOR banner, how do we hold accountable a country that is built already on contested, disputed territories, in Kashmir, in Gilgit-Baltistan, and in Balochistan, where there is a major genocide taking place. We have the highest levels of enforced disappearances, extrajudicial killings. We have had mass graves. We have our women are being abducted and taken to army cantonments, where they have been the subject of very serious sexual harassment and rape. And China has completely ignored this, that there are, as the Voice for Baloch Missing Persons camp has cited, 40,000 plus Baloch people are missing. Students, engineers, doctors, intellectuals, civilians. And this is the Baloch intelligentsia. And it is not a pattern that is only running in Balochistan. It is also happening in Sindh, it is also happening in the Pashtun areas, and it is happening in Kashmir. How can China flatly ignore all of these things? It does so to its detriment, because resource-rich Balochistan is very security poor. Now, there have been Chinese companies that have already backed out some of them because of the security concerns that they have in Balochistan. And the Baloch are not going to stop raising these issues and generating more awareness of these gross human rights violations, because our very survival is at stake. Now, I'd like to just point out that we are right now witnessing the emergence of a new world political order. And it is going to have a very important effect on not only what is happening in South Asia, where 1/5 of the world's population is located and therefore should be of a concern globally to all others, but it is also going to affect all other major regional players. If we look at the context right now, we know that Balochistan has become an Islamist haven. The Pakistani government has awarded large tracts of land to the Islamic State, to various Taliban factions whose shuras are already operating in broad daylight in Quetta, and other groups such as Lashkar-e-Taiba, Jaish-e-Mohammed. These are all operating freely. They are being trained in Balochistan, and from Balochistan they are being sent on to the line of control in Kashmir. The Pakistani army makes a point of sending almost all of its cadets there in order to engender a deep hatred of India, because the Pakistani national narrative is centered upon this anti-India thesis, and everything is basically formulated on this. Now, Balochistan has become this playground which is going to affect the rest of the world, especially in light of the fact that as soon as the US troops pull out of Afghanistan, what we're going to effectively see is that Afghanistan will be acquired by Pakistan, its strategic depth, again as part of its India containment policy. It will begin training its jihadis there and sending them again into Balochistan and other Western capitals. It is very well known now that major ISI directors such as Nadeem Taj, whose fingerprints were all over the 2008 Mumbai bombing, are certainly going to be planning and coordinating more attacks of this nature in order to hold Pakistan together as an entity, a state which is actually breaking at its seams. Right now we are witnessing a major revival in Pashtun secular nationalism. which again is already working parallel to what is happening in Balochistan and in Kashmir and in Sindh. Now, the United States had already said that Pakistan would be a failed state by 2015 and predicted its collapse by 2025. And things, the way that they are developing, look as though they are heading in that direction. One thing that I find very strange is the dynamics have changed to such a degree that the Taliban now state that unless China is present at the negotiation table, they will not partake of any kind of dealings with anyone. Now, the Chinese apparently have been paying certain Taliban factions not to be anywhere near their installations, but the Chinese, of course, are aware, because of the issues in Xinjiang, that there are very hardline Islamist operatives in Balochistan, in Pakistan, and one of the objectives that they had for CPEC was they thought that because Chinese diplomats have stated, we want a socially stable Pakistan because of their own concerns. However, this is not going to happen because as soon as the US troops pull out of Afghanistan, all hell is going to break loose in that region. And this is going to have such a huge impact. We are going to see a lot of the major powers, their interests converging in Balochistan, which is an extremely strategically important place, as you are aware. So we, as a global community, as a human family, have to ask ourselves, how long are we going to allow this state sponsor of terrorism, Pakistan, which has the fastest growing nuclear arsenal with tactical nuclear weapons? Now, what do tactical nuclear weapons mean? It means that they can be used on an open battlefield. Where are they going to use this? Where would they want to potentially? Kashmir. It is only a matter of time before they take that step. And we need to be wise to the fact and understand that the future of this region is dependent upon our dismantling this terrorist state, which now has more nuclear weapons than England and France. I mean, can you try to imagine what this actually means for the civilized world? And so I believe that we are moving towards that direction. We have entered a new age of politics in that region where the Baloch, the Pashtun, the Sindhi, Kashmiri, Gilgit-Baltistani peoples have risen and understood consciously that Pakistan exists primarily for Punjab, it is run by Punjab, and the only beneficiaries are Punjab, and that we will not tolerate this anymore. We are going to come together, and from now on we are going to work upon this joint platform in order to reach our goals of reacquiring our sovereignty, because none of us actually agreed to be a part of Pakistan in the very first instance. We are occupied lands, and it is the only way that we are going to end the genocides that we are facing as a group, as an entire peoples. Thank you.